Allegra started her career in 1980 as a Peace Corps TEFL teacher in rural high school in Senegal, West Africa. Upon her return to the US in 1982, she got a master's degree in TESOL from Columbia University Teachers College in New York. Since then, Allegra has taught ESL in universities and colleges, has had her own consulting business teaching immigration in the workplace, and has worked with hundreds of public school teachers throughout Colombia as the Senior English Fellow with the State Department. From 2010 to 2013, as the TEFL advisor for the Peace Corps, she came to Panama several times to work with Peace Corps volunteers training, then as a co-teacher in rural schools throughout Panama. In addition, she trained volunteers on strategies for teaching EFL in different educational environments from the urban and rural in nine countries across the world. In 1920, she moved back to the States where she began director of several universities' intensive English program. I'm very glad to say that now she is starting her consulting business as global transformative training. So again, Allegra, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for helping Panamanians and thank you for sharing everything, right? So please welcome to Allegra and stop your camera and microphone on mute, okay? Welcome, Allegra.
Thank you. Buenas tardes todos. Vamos a empezar in English. Okay, so as Joel said, we go back a long time. Now it's 10 years. And the 4 or 5 times that I came to Panama to work with him, with the Peace Corps volunteers, we decided that we were going to implement Reader's Theater, which I'm going to be presenting in a few minutes. And one of the reasons why was because we saw a lot of teachers doing spelling bees across the country. And I actually went out to the Darien to host, to be a judge in a spelling bee in one of the schools. And it was wonderful. The students were great. But the problem was they had to memorize long lists of words, 300 words. And the winner was the person who was able to memorize all those words in English. And I got this idea because I had done this Reader's Theater presentation before, and I said, Joel, why don't we encourage teachers to do Reader's Theater as a competition instead of spelling bees? Because with spelling bees, all you have to do to win is be somebody who can memorize lots of words. And he thought it was a great idea. And so we started presenting it out to volunteers who then took it around to their schools across the country. So that's the history behind it. So Joel, you'll have to share. Joel?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you share your screen, please?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So here we are. I renamed this workshop because I've done it many times. Reader's Theater in the time of Corona, because one of the added pieces to this will be to talk about how you as teachers can implement Reader's Theater, especially if you continue teaching online. So this is a great, it's a great strategy for teaching reading, because not only can you do it face-to-face with students, but you can also do it online. Okay, so what exactly is Reader's Theater? You might wonder, it's theater, is it reading, is it a combination of both? All right, so reader's theater is minimal theater in support of reading and literature. And there are many different styles, but they all share some of the same features. It's an easy way to make dramatic changes in kids' fluency, in their listening, and in their social skills. But what is so wonderful about reader's theater is there are no costs. You don't have to, there's nothing other than printing off the scripts. And the way we set it up and the way I taught was always to have a script that was one piece of paper. So other than a few pieces of paper for your students, that's your only cost. There are no memorization, which is really important here because memorizing can be a source of great stress for students. It's hard enough to do it in their own language, but to do it in another language, such as English, could create a lot of stress. So with taking that piece out, not having to memorize is great because what are you doing? You're encouraging them to read. There's no stage set. So in normal theater, you have a big stage and the students get up on the stage, but there's no set. All it is are the students, their script, and they read. There's also no costumes. Now, I have seen it where students might add a hat or they might add glasses or have a funny shirt on, but none of this is necessary, as you will see in a few of the videos that I play. Okay, so what are the objectives? Okay, so we really need to think about what are the objectives in implementing this into the classroom. One is projection and diction. Okay, you should be able to hear the students clearly from the back of the classroom. Their pronunciation should be clear. So projection, if you get a student up at the front of the class and I'm going to pretend that I'm reading it, I'm here hiding, but not far away. You can't hear them. So you actually need to model this with the students and show them how to project, how to pronounce the words, how to be clear, how not to rush through it like that. So that's very important. Another is pacing. Pace is the pace, how much it takes for them to read their sentence. It should be comfortable, but it should never be too fast. For example, I'm here hiding, but not far away. Catch me if you can, but that's way too fast. Some students might read their lines fast because they're nervous. Some students may read their lines slowly because they're also nervous and they don't have the practice. That's the key here, is the practice. So you want to make sure that they get lots of time to practice. Number 3, the ensemble. All the actors in the scene should be working together. So this is a collaborative project. So a student's not going to be better, a student's not going to shine while the others are not doing well. They're going to work as a group. So collaborative activity together. And if you turn it into a competition, of course, they're working as a group, competing against other schools or other classes. Okay, so here, student objective, another focus, number 4, the actors must stay in character at all times. When you see the first video that I play, you're going to see some students that are very much into their character. Some are, might be a little bit loud, and some might be, you know, a little bit crazy, a little bit whatever. If you're performing as, let's say, a duck, you want to maybe take on that personality. You don't have to have them acting out, because the key to this is getting them to read their lines. But as they get more advanced in this, it doesn't hurt. Eye contact is really important. You don't want them where they have the paper up in front of their face and they don't see the audience. The audience should always see the actor's eyes and face. Okay, so here we're gonna watch the first one. Now, let me give you a little bit of background about this group. This is a group of students in Taiwan. And they took this idea, Readers Theater, back to Taiwan after seeing it at a TESOL conference. And in Taiwan, they loved it so much that they perfected it as an art, as a form of competition. But after this, I'm going to show you Readers Theater in Panama as well. These children have obviously practiced it a lot. So let's stay tuned and let's watch.
Good morning. The title of our Readers Theater is The Stinky Tofu Man. The Stinky Tofu Man is adapted from The Stinky Cheese Man. Once upon a time, there was a little old lady and a little old man who lived together in a little old house. They were lonely, so lonely, said the little old man. Very lonely, said the little old woman. So the little old lady decided to make a man out of stinky tofu. I'll give me 2 watermelon seeds for ice and noodles for a mouth, said the little old lady, and she put it in the oven to cook. When she opened the oven to see if it was ready, the smell just about knocked her out. Ew! What is that terrible smell? She cried. The stinky tofu man jumped out of the oven and ran out of the door.
Oops, sorry. Okay, so let's go back. Sorry.
Stinky tofu. I'll give me 2 watermelon seeds for ice and noodles for a mouth, said the little old lady, and she put it in the oven to cook. When she opened the oven to see if it was ready, the smell just about knocked her out. Ew! What is that terrible smell? She cried. The stinky tofu man jumped out of the oven and ran out of the door, calling, "Run, run, run, as fast as you can! You can't catch me! I am the stinky tofu man!" And whack! Did he smell bad? The little old lady and the little old man sniffed the air. "I'm not really lonely. You made it, so you eat it," said the little old man. "I'm not really hungry or lonely," said the little old lady. So they didn't chase the stinky tofu man. The stinky tofu man ran and ran until he met a cow in the grassy field. "Ew! What's that awful smell?" said the cow. The stinky tofu man said, "I ran away from a little old lady and a little old man. And I can run away from you too, I can. Run, 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 as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I am the stinky tofu man." The cow gave another sniff and said, "You could give someone a stomach ache from that stink. I think I'll just eat grass." So the cow didn't chase the stinky tofu man either. The stinky tofu man ran and he ran until he met a boy and a girl playing outside their school. "Girls, what's that nasty smell?" said a girl. "I know. Has anyone told you just how bad the smell?" "That's no lie," said the boy. "I ran away from a little old lady and a little old man and the cow. And I can run away from you too, I can. Run, 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 as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I am the stinky tofu man." The boy looked up, sniffed the air, and said, "If we catch him, our teacher will make us eat him. Let's get out of here," said the girl. So the boy and the girl didn't chase the stinky tofu man either. The stinky tofu man ran and ran until he met a horse. and said, "Oh man, plastic fight! Smelly!" Fox coughed and he sneezed and he gasped for air and he coughed and sneezed and gasped for air and coughed and sneezed, gasped for air and he coughed and said the fox, and he threw the stinky tofu man off his back into the great dancing river. The stinky tofu man broke up and fell apart in the water, which is why to this day no one ever swims in the great dancing river. Ew! Thank you everybody for listening to our Readers Theater.
Okay, so you just saw a group of kids that had a lot of practice, that obviously the narrator was very strong in his reading. Some of the students who were not as strong or maybe shy or a little bit quiet got to read their parts together, which is a great feature of Readers Theater, because not all your students are strong, and they're not strong learners, they're not strong readers. So what are you going to do when you have the students that are either shy, that don't want to read, that have a few problems reading? You put them in groups. You're going to see Readers Theater in Veraguas, but also you're going to see me later reading with a couple of my former university students, because I wrote a script and I wanted to show you what you can do on your own if you want to create your own scripts. What I want to show you now is Reader Theater in Veraguas. So as Joel told you, when I came and trained the Peace Corps volunteers, this was one of my training sessions, was Readers Theater. And these young volunteers were really excited because they were going into rural communities across Panama and working with Panamanian teachers. And they thought it was a great idea. So Nick, one of the teachers, decided after participating in my workshop that he was going to take this to the next level, which was competition. And then he also did a YouTube about it, about the competition. And so I figured, since I was presenting out to you teachers here in Panama, I wanted to show you that you can actually do it and engage with the students. You don't have to take it to the competition level, but what you're going to do is get them reading, and probably they're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Okay, so we're going to watch this little video.
Allegra, sorry for interrupting. Just because I gave you the hosting of the meeting, if you have somebody, admit the person,
Problem
okay?
volunteers
wait.
working in an English classroom. Note.
Sorry, what was that, Joan?
Sorry for interrupting. Since you have the hosting of the meeting, try to admit people that if you see that they are, you know.
I don't see them coming in. That's
no. Okay. All right. That's okay.
okay. Where would I see it, Joel? Joel?
When you see that in the, let's see, where you text the messages. No?
In the chat function, because I don't, oh, participants here. Admit, okay. I actually have to do that. Okay, sorry. There are 9, admit all, okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, it says 6 waiting. Okay. All right, so we'll go back. Okay. I think that's not something we can do. I don't, Joel, I don't see a message for it. So let's go back, start this video again. For the new people coming in, you are about to see a YouTube video of Readers Theater in Veraguas. This was probably from 2012, when after I had come and done training with the Peace Corps volunteers, they liked it so much they wanted to compete between schools in Veraguas. Okay, so we're gonna see this little video, and then please make sure to ask questions and send them in to Joel, because I'm more used to an interactive presentation where teachers are asking me questions, and it's a little bit strange not having lots of questions. Okay, so let's get started.
The problem volunteers working in an English classroom notice is that students rarely, if ever, speak, and special opportunities to engage students, such as contests, are based solely on memorization. Our solution? The first annual Readers Theater Competition. In the first step of the process, we set up meetings with English teachers in June to explain Readers Theater, train them in the performance and teaching of the technique, and announce our intent to have the contest. In the following months, we paired schools with a volunteer who visited in order to coach and motivate students in the expressive reading of their script. The event itself took place on Friday, September 20th, 2013, in Santiago, Veraguas, in the Escuela Normal's Aula Maxima Auditorium. 20 groups from 15 schools across the province participated, with a total of about 185 students reading a variety of scripts based on American children's stories. A panel of judges selected one group from each age category, elementary, middle, and high school, as the best performance of the day. Each winning group received a hardcover copy of a children's story and a faux Oscar statue made by a Panamanian artisan. During the event, we offered a brindis, a snack of cake and juice before the announcement of the winners. Also during the brindis was a small college fair, where invited institutions set up stands explaining opportunities for studying at university, studying English, and scholarships. With combined funds from GAD and VAC grants, we were able to provide the brindis, buy the Readers Theater banner, make copies of scripts, print certificates for each student and school, and purchase the artisan trophies. By expressing the emotions of characters, students made connections between words and their meanings. The chance to show their skills in front of an audience helped students gain confidence. And because no memorization was used, students gained a new skill, reading. The English department of the Panamanian Ministry of Education is committed to expanding the contest nationwide next year.
Okay, so there we have it. If that isn't the most wonderful demonstration of how Reader's Theater is actually used in your country, I don't know what is. I would have loved to have been there to see all the children performing, but the better part of it was that the students got really excited about it. You can see it in their faces. You can see that they felt like they actually had a role to play together collaboratively, rather than, like I said previously, a spelling bee where they just got up and spelled words that they really didn't know or didn't really understand. Like I said earlier, you don't have to take it to the competition level, but it might be the end of this, a performance, an activity that you do at the end of the semester or at the end of the year. While I was working in Panama, I was living in Costa Rica. And so I traveled all through Central America, South America, and then I also had 4 countries in the South Pacific. But some of my volunteers in Costa Rica loved it so much that they invited me to their end of school year to actually see their students performing in all the grade levels. I wanted to take this photo and show it to you because Jose, the tallest boy here, this was 4th, I think, or 5th grade, basically was functionally illiterate. Both the American teachers that I worked with and his Costa Rican teacher told me that he could barely read. But when they introduced the concept of Reader's Theater to the students and saw them practicing and then ultimately performing, Jose, who had never ever really read, had taken the script home, had practiced it, and had practiced it to the point that he could get up and say the 1 or 2 lines that he was assigned. What was wonderful about it was a story that his teachers had given up on him until this method took part, and he probably said, I really like this, or I want to read, I want to participate. So this is a great tool for engaging underperforming students. Because like I said earlier, and what you saw in the Stinky Tofu Man, is if you have students that can't do it by themselves, then you pair them up. Or 3 students at the same time have the words that they have to read off their script. I like it because it gives every student an opportunity to participate. Okay, so let's get started with, I want to move this. What you're going to do if you're going to take this into your classroom. So, like I said, you saw Nick in the video working with the Hungry Caterpillar. In choosing the scripts that I actually use in my workshops, I often look for simple scripts that had a lot of repetition in words, scripts that had very easy grammar, scripts that didn't have too difficult, where the vocabulary wasn't too difficult. So let's take this book here, 1 Fish, 2 Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. Now, Dr. Seuss is a very famous author in the United States, and a lot of people know his books. But I chose this because there was a lot of repetition. 2, there weren't a lot of words that were complicated, so this could be done even maybe in 1st year or 2nd year English classes. So if you choose this book, the first thing you're going to do is read it to the students. So it's going to be, for example, this is the actual book, but we broke it down into, I took it and I typed it up and I broke it up into different readers. Now you have reader 1, reader 2, reader 3, reader 4. But if I was reading the book, the first thing I would do is go through the whole book and read it and explain the vocabulary, talk to the students about it so that they actually understand the story behind the actual Reader's Theater. So you're going to model it, you're going to be expressive. Like, for example, if I got up and I heard my students saying, 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish, another student goes, by Dr. Seuss, from here from there to here, I'd say we need to put a little bit more excitement in our voices. We need to be a little bit more expressive. So that's where I would model it first to the students. And then you can also do a choral reading where everybody reads it together in class. Now, if you have a lot of students, if you have 30 or more students, that might be hard. So that's where you break students up into groups and you say, okay, you're gonna be reader 1, reader 2, reader 3, reader 4, and in this group, and you break up another group, reader 1, reader 2, reader 3, reader 4. So then it's small group work. You can do it any way you want as long as you get all the students reading. The round robin readings are good because, like I said, if you have more than 30 students in the class, you can break it up. Let's say you have 30 students and you have here 4 parts, then you know that you have, 9 groups. You can rewrite the script so that you might have, rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, it could be 5, 6, 7, 8, so everybody gets a line. You want to break them up into small groups and get them to practice. That's the key. Okay, now, if using a script rather than, now this is the script I wrote for you. It's called In the Time of Corona. And when I was writing this a couple weeks ago, I wanted to select vocabulary and grammar that had vocabulary that had repetition. I was looking at easy grammar. I was looking at words that you could easily either explain, and there's quite a bit of repetition in it. So if I was doing my own script, I would be doing the same thing. I would start out by reading, oh, Corona, Corona, where are you, Corona? I'm here hiding. Now, as you go through this, you might you notice it's not in order, not speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, speaker 4. There's a reason for this. You don't want the students all to be in a line going reader 1, reader 2, reader 3, reader 4. You want to mix it up so that there's a little bit of excitement, so they have to pay attention. Oh, reader 4 is before reader 3. So what? The good part about that is you're trying to get them to follow the instructions, meaning after 4 comes Corona, and after Corona comes speaker 1, and after speaker 1 is speaker 3. I mix it up. I don't like to have it all in the same order. So this is the script that I wrote. You want to involve the students in the choral readings so that they read it together, just like we did with 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. You want to get them to practice this. Now, you notice there are only 4 speakers here, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, and 4, and Corona is the 4th. Like I said, if you have 30 students in a class, you're going to have multiple groups doing this. You could have your own competition in between group A and group B and group C and D, and at the end of the week, you get up, bring in a couple of teachers as judges, and you judge who's the best group. So the same thing that I said previously, you're going to model it, fluent expressive reading. You're going to involve the students in the choral reading of it, either all together, so they can practice the words. You're going to want them to know what hiding is, what erase, get rid of, and stomp. Now, for a more advanced group, you are going to say, what is erase? Well, somebody show me erase the board. Get rid of. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my paper bag because I used it and now it's, throw it in the garbage. Stomp. Well, with that one, I would demonstrate by, stomping my feet. But erase, get rid of, and stomp are very similar. So I was looking for words that would have similar meaning or have a lot of repetition. You see stomp, stomp, stomp quite a few times because what are we trying to do? We're trying to get rid of this virus. Okay, so you're going to break them into small groups and get them to practice it. And then when you feel comfortable, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do this as a competition. Okay, you really don't have to do it as a competition. But you might say, okay, we're going to just practice it, and then at the end of the week or at the end of 2 weeks, whatever time frame you want for this, you're going to get them to do this all together. Okay, now how do you adapt? Sorry, I don't know what this is. Okay, you want to adapt a script. So I took one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, and I took the book and I said, okay, I'm going to make 4 readers and 1 narrative. So I just typed it up on a piece of, on my computer, and I said, okay, I'm going to have 4 readers and 1 narrator. You can choose a story. You can choose a section of a book. So let's say you have a children's book, but it's too long. Well, there's a couple possibilities that you can do with that. You can cut it and just say you're only going to take the first part of the book. Or you can also say, all right, we're going to break it up into different texts, and one group is going to do the first part of the book. Another group is going to do the second part, so you have the whole book done. I've never done it that way, but it is doable. I prefer to choose stories. I prefer to write my own stories, but I also prefer to take stories that I know that are simple. So I look very carefully at children's books and say, that's a good story, but there's a lot of difficult vocabulary in that. Maybe this is not the best book for this. You as a teacher have to know what is going to go well with the level of your students. What is their competency in English, and will they be able to understand and perform this text? You need to decide who's going to be what. So if you look at a group of 30 students and you say, wow, I know Jose is really a strong reader. I know Marisol is a really strong reader. Maybe they get to do the narration part. You might not have a narrator, but in some cases there are. You might say, oh, okay, and I have Manuel here and I have Beto, and they don't speak much. I'm going to have them doing their part together. Okay, so once you decide who's going to read what, then you're going to highlight the dialogue. And I just take different color highlighters. If you don't have color highlighters, maybe the students have a colored pencil, they can mark their parts. If you have a situation where it's really hard and you're even lacking a lot of access to papers and stuff, you can actually do one and then put it between, you can laminate it or put it in a plastic sheet so it protects it a little bit. Because if the students are taking it home to practice, that piece of paper at the end of the week is going to be a little ball, right? So I would say to some of my volunteers, well, if paper is an issue, then put it, if you have those plastic sleeves, you can put it in there, and then they take it home, but they can't mark on it, and then they have to give it back to you so you can use it again next year. You want to assign the parts. So like I said, strong speakers get more lines. Weak or shy students can be assigned to pairs or small groups. Everyone gets lines. Everyone gets to read. And you hand out the scripts and you practice. Okay, so here is an example of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And I picked this because the 2 volunteers that I was working with in Costa Rica were doing this. And instead of doing the whole book, because it's quite a long book, they just picked a little scene from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 1, and narrator, and the Queen, and that's what became their text. Notice it's not longer than a page, which is really important because, again, you're trying to get your students encouraged to read and not have a whole book in front of them. Okay, so back to in the time of Corona, Joel is going to send this text to you if you want to try it with my text. I have highlighted speaker 1, speaker 3, and speaker 4, and in different colors. And that's what I'm saying. I highlight it because then it's a much easier. Speaker 4 knows that he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Everyone means everyone reading together. Stomp, stomp, stomp. So this is just an example how you can use highlighters. It's very easy. It doesn't take a lot of preparation and it doesn't take a lot of time. Okay, so like I promised, I decided I wanted to write this, the script, because we are in a very difficult time. It's in the time of Corona. And I asked a few years ago I was teaching. I went back to teaching after I was working overseas and came back to the university and taught English as a second language. And these 3 students, Francesca from Italy, Jose from Mexico, and Mohammed from Algeria, have remained friends with me. And about 2 weeks ago, I said, hey, you guys, I'm doing this presentation for these teachers in Panama, and I really would like you to read my script with me. So we did a Zoom, and we practiced it, and we had to practice it quite a few times, even though they're pretty fluent in English, partly because they didn't know what Reader's Theater was either. So I'm going to show you Reader's Theater in the time of Corona.
Oh, Corona, where are you, Corona?
I'm here hiding.
But not far away.
Catch me if you can, but you'll have to find me first.
The whole world is looking for you.
From China to Korea.
From Italy to Germany.
From Colombia to Panama.
The doctors and nurses are looking
For a way to erase you.
For a way to get rid of you.
for a way to stamp you out. Stamp, stamp, stamp.
We will find a way forward.
Where you're no longer hurting us.
We're finished. Stamp, stamp, stamp.
Oh, Corona, where are you?
I'm here, but I'm hiding. I will come out again soon.
But we will find you and stamp, stamp, stamp you out.
Wow. We will win. You will be gone forever.
And never, and ever, and ever. Bye-bye, Corona.
But why me? You are killing me.
Stamp, stamp, stamp.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Corona.
Corona. Bye-bye.
All right. So as you can tell, the 3 students here, Mo and Jose and Francesca, they're not English teachers. So I had to introduce the whole concept and I had to talk to them about what it was. We practiced about 2 or 3 times and then we recorded it. And the first time we recorded it, we had to go back and re-record it because the whole part of doing stomp, stomp, stomp together was a little bit of a challenge. But they learned it, and you know, really it was a lot of enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. All right, so this is a new piece to this workshop because a year ago or 5 years ago when I did this, I never thought we would be training online. But when I thought about what I could present to you, I said, well, Reader's Theater is good because if you are teaching online, you can do this. You just saw me. I just did in the time of Corona and I recorded it. So why would this work online? Because there really are few differences between somebody reading in a Zoom chat room or in a Zoom screen versus getting up on a stage or getting up in front of class reading. Some students may actually do better online because it's less embarrassing. You know, you're not actually looking at them. The difference is they're behind a screen. Some students this would also work online because some students are just practicing reading just in front of a camera. Maybe they're more comfortable in front of a camera than getting up in front of a classroom in front of 30 students. Why this might work online is because students will see improvement in practice and repetition. With Jose and Mo and Francesca, after about 3 practices, they actually did improve, and we actually got to the point where we could record it. So you can record different performances. You can say, okay, we're gonna do, if you're online, I'm gonna record it the first time. We're gonna practice it 3 or 4 times, and then I'm gonna record it again, and then we're gonna compare. Are we better? Are we not better? What are areas that we need to work on? What are the challenges of working online? Well, definite challenge of working online is we'd all prefer to do this in person. I would much prefer to be doing this presentation to you in person in Panama, but because of Corona, we can't. Another challenge is there might be delays in speakers, which is why we, when we are actually practicing this, when students got a little caught up in their, when Jose or Mo got caught up in their text, I like, go back. I'd say, who's speaker 1? Who's speaker 2? Which is the same thing you'd have to do when you're practicing for the first time. The biggest problem might be there might be internet issues. But all of this said, you're going to be able to do it online successfully. You're going to be able to do it face-to-face successfully. It's just what are you working in? What's your platform? Is it online? Is it face-to-face? Whatever it is, I would suggest that you try it. It's a great way of getting kids excited about reading. In doing a competition, and like I said earlier, you don't have to turn this into a competition, but if you do, some of the things that you might want to judge the students on: volume. Are they speaking loudly enough? Or are they speaking too softly? Clarity. Are the words pronounced clearly? Or are there some words that they're struggling with? Now, in the actual YouTube of the students performing Hungry Caterpillar in Veraguas, I wasn't sure whether some of their challenges were pronunciations, thus clarity, or if it was just not a really good recording. I think it was a combination of both. But obviously the students were very excited. I love their use of hands and gestures as they were reading their text. They all read with a lot of expression. You didn't see anybody getting up and going, Corona, Corona, right? Corona, Corona, where are you, Corona? You want to read with expression. So you would get different points based on how well you read and how much expression you use. Are you reading in turn? Now this was probably my biggest challenge with my students, was because some of them forgot that, oh yeah, you're next reading. Yeah, come on, it's your turn. Who's speaker 3? Come on, read your part. So that's why you have to do the practice. And then finally, cooperation with a group. This is very much a group activity. And that's why it can work so well in your classes, especially if you have 25, 30, 35 students. Like Joel said, I started teaching in West Africa. I had 60 first-year students I had 2 classes of 60 students. Now, I only wish I would have had this technique because I would have been able to do it. But doing it with 60 students would have been a little bit of a challenge because they were 13-year-olds. But you can actually, if you have this rubric, you can actually make sure that they are working well with each other. And, are they having challenges working together? So they're excellent, they're good, or they need work. So that's the rubric. All right, so we've come, it's actually time, but I want to take some questions. If you look at this Reader's Theater scripts, this is a place you can go to get other scripts. I actually have never used their scripts, but I've looked at them just to see how they've adapted them. This might give you some ideas for scripts that you can use in the classroom. Like I said, I've just adapted children's books to scripts, or I've written my own. So we're going to take this as time for questions. I guess it's time to stop.
Thank you,
Joel?
Allegra. Thank you, Allegra, for sharing with us. Thank you for any detail that you share. And every time that I take this workshop, I learn something new, right? So now is a chance for question, please. If you want to ask questions, please let me know, or you can open your microphone, or you can text your question here, or anything.
Yeah, please come and talk to me. Don't just chat it. I want to hear your questions.
All right. So any question here? Any question? We're gonna be sending the material that Allegra was sharing, and some more materials that she has shared with us via email. For those people that already registered, we're gonna be sharing that with you. Any question? I don't know if we want to ask
I have
any
a
question.
question.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Well,
Okay.
Elinia
I
Flores,
follow the,
where are you from?
yes, I'm from Panama.
Panama. Okay.
Chitre. I live in Chitre, Herrera.
Okay.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I've been. Nice.
Okay. I saw the 2 videos and I was interested because I have a problem where I do a little bit rhythm theater in my classroom, in my classes. Okay. But I see my problem is that my kids have the tone of voice very low, and I see in the competitions the kids from Japan that they don't use microphone, and I see the kids from Veragua that they have some microphones in the stage. So I see that is if you are in a competition, you allow what thing is allowed, the with microphone or without microphone, because you talk about be clear when they talk.
Right. Like I said, this was recorded in 2013, so there's a possibility that technology is so much better. If you had told me in 2013 that we would be training and I would be doing this online in 2020, I would say, are you crazy? And you can tell, I mean, how many participants are on, 46 of you are online right now, and you can hear me really clearly. And so technology has improved greatly. If you were going to do this as in a competition, I would suggest getting a microphone and maybe, at least so that the kids could get used to the practice of speaking into a microphone. Is it necessary? No, but if they are very quiet, they're going to have to learn to project their voices loudly. You can hear me, I'm very loud. I don't even need a microphone, but that takes practice.
I can tell something. It will also depend on the place that you're gonna, do the competition. Because if it is an open, like a big one, like it was a normal school in the big auditorium, so it was, it was needed. But if it is in a classroom, where it is like that it's not that big with a lot of windows, it will depend, on the space, on the place where you are going to do that. Pilar Volta has a question. Pilar.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Pilar, where are you from?
Sorry for the. I'm from Chiriqui, Arena. It's raining cats and dogs. It's very loud. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, we had that rain last weekend. Okay.
How can I adapt this activity to my kindergarten group? I mean, they don't know how to read, but they can say something about a flashcard. The dog is big. The tree is red. They can describe something in a very easy way.
Okay, so let me tell you, that's a wonderful question. And I'm going to tell you what Megan and Kevin, they were the couple that I showed you that were in La Rambla in Costa Rica. So Kevin had the little kids that were kindergarten. Obviously, they're not doing, they're not reading at that point. So he actually read the text, and they all had a mask that they made in paper to be, it was a text about animals. And they actually had they had made a paper mask to look like a cat that they wore. And so when he read it and they got to the part of cat, then the student that was the cat would meow, meow, and then the student that was the dog was ruff, ruff. So, you know, like I said, they're not reading at that point, but this is a great group activity that could be adapted. You know, so if it's just them working together collaboratively in a group and taking different parts, they might just have one word, right?
They can describe something with a flashcard, like very easy thing.
Write the script yourself, because you know exactly what they can do. And if it's something that requires that, you know, that one part about in the time of Corona, stomp, 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 they could say that. Stomp, 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 you know, or make noise along with them actually saying the words. Of course they can. In their case, they would probably be memorizing. You're welcome. Good question.
Thank you. Do you have any other question? Thank you. Any other question? Do we have any other question here? Question?
Come on, people, ask some questions.
Do we have any other question here? If we have a question, you can open your mic or camera.
So I want to know if you would try this, what kinds of things are you concerned about, or challenges that you might have? I don't know what your classes look like. If you have large classes, you know, so you need to tell me what you would want to know if you were going to implement this into the class. This is a good time to ask your questions. There is a chat.
We have a question here from Agnes Trujillo. Can you explain again about round robin reading?
Okay, round robin reading would be, let's say, let's go back to, okay, I'm just pulling this up so I can get back to Corona. All right, we can see this, right? Everybody can see this one? Are we still sharing? They can't see it, can they, Joel?
Go ahead.
Okay, so going back to this round robin reading would be 3 students read speaker 1, or 2, let's say 2. 2 students read speaker 1, 2 students read Corona, 2 students do speaker 4, and you're going around. Round robin is just around in the group. So if you it could be 2 people, it could be 1 person. So if you have, let's say you have 28 students. Let's just make it an even number, okay? And you have 7 groups, right? 7 groups of 4, because there's 4 readers here. Round robin is that they're just practicing going around reading from speaker 1 to Corona to speaker 4. That's round robin. It could also be that you have 2 people reading 1 line, but that gets to be hard because they have to be able to start at the same time, and that's a little bit more challenging. But if I had 28 students, I'd give them this text and read round and around and around. And you just go around and have them read. Round robin can also be where you do half a class. Half the class, or break the class into fourths. 1/4 of the class is speaker 1, 1/4 of the class is Corona, 1/4 of the class is speaker 3, and 1/4 of the class is speaker 4. And you could have a small group reading that line. Again, the challenge there is if they don't start at the same time and some person is, oh, Corona, Corona, and another student is, oh, Corona, Corona, it's like the feedback you get on a bad Zoom where one student is reading and another student just starts. So it's going to sound a little bit crazy, right? But it just takes some practice. Even, like I said, with the university students that I used, we had to practice it about 3 times before we actually recorded it. But that's a good question. other questions?
We have any other question? We have any other question here? Question?
Hello, are you listening to me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, I was listening about real theory, and I have a question. How does real theory improve fluency? I know that the student can improve expression and inflection. Also, they increase the way to reading motivation. So it means that it is related to the fluency. So this is my question.
So your question is, how would this increase their fluency?
Yes.
Okay, so imagine that you're not a really strong reader and you're given this text and you're told by your teacher to take it home and to practice that line, okay? And that at the end of a week, you're going to actually get up and you're going to perform it in front of the other students, right? A student that's practiced it, you know, it might be, okay, we're gonna practice it after class, and you saw in the video of the students practicing outside with one of their teachers. It doesn't have to take place inside the class. It might be, hey, let's practice it at recess. Whatever it is, if you practice this enough, you're going to gain a certain level of fluency. Okay, because the practice makes perfect, right? If I start out going, oh, Corona, Corona, where are you? And then I get to instead of saying the whole world is looking for you, and I say the whoa, whoa, and I can't do the whole world because the WW, you know, you as a teacher are going to help them through the pronunciation. But the more they practice it, the more fluent they're going to be. It's just, you know, the old adage, practice makes perfect. If you get a group of students practicing this, they will improve. If you were in the presentation when I talked about the boy who was functionally illiterate, this is something the teachers are shocked because he had never read. He had never done anything related to reading the whole time. My volunteers were working with him, and they were shocked that he actually got up and he read his lines. That's because he took it home and he practiced it, and he practiced it, and he practiced it. So practice doesn't make perfect, hopefully.
All right, thank you so much. We have one more time for one more question. Mitzi, you want to ask a question? Mitzi?
Mitzi, put your microphone up.
Mitzi, hello? We can hear you.
Cannot hear her. She needs to be unmuted. Or maybe it's on her end.
It's
she
better.
Can chat.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm from Panama Oeste, La Chorrera. I am working with high school students, and then my question is, how long must be the readings for high school student? I have 11th grade. Then my classrooms are a student of 36 students per classroom. Then I have a big classroom. Then I would like to know how long they can, how many time, 3-4 minutes, the whole script for my student.
How fluent are they in the 11th grade?
I have all levels, basic, intermediate, and advanced.
Okay,
And I have
in one class?
In one class.
Okay, so this is where you could pair up some of the basic students with the more intermediate students, and pair some of the more intermediate students up with the advanced. The advanced readers could read by themselves, and the more basic students would be paired up together to read one line, right? Because you don't want them to feel that feel unsuccessful in their ability to read. So I would be pairing them up. I would look at them and go, I have to pair these guys up. Or how many, what's the number of students in your class?
36 per classroom.
36 per classroom, and they're all in one class, right? All levels?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you might say, you might be practicing different scripts. You might have that basic script for the beginners. You know, something very easy like, what was the one that we, I'm gonna send Joel another one to send to you. I can't think of the name right now, but it was very from A to B and B to C, coconut tree.
Is your
And-
mama llama? Is your mama llama? You remember
Well,
that?
that you can send them that one. Is your mama a llama? So it might be that the basic students practice something that's much more basic. The intermediate students practice a different text. This is where scaffolding and differentiation would work really well because they're not all having to read the same text. So I would probably say, I've got, out of 36 students, I've got 9 students that are just beginning in English. So you give them the Hungry Caterpillar. And then you give a more complicated text to the intermediate students. And then you give a more advanced text to the upper level students, the more advanced. I would just differentiate it by their level. You could even take a text like this, Corona, Corona, and take out some of the difficult words. And, instead of saying the doctors and nurses are looking for a way to erase you, are looking for you. They're looking for you. Do a lot of repetition. Take out, you choose. If it's going to be too hard for them, make it easier. And that's why I like to take my own text, because I can say, that group, they're going to have trouble with that vocabulary. So I need a lot of repetition and I need a lot of ways for them to practice it. We're trying to help our students succeed whatever way we can and engage them in reading and get them excited about reading is whatever, what we can do to help them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One more question, if there is any teacher or anything, any participants. We have students from university too here. Students from university.
Can everybody turn on their cameras so I can get a picture?
Future teachers. All right, so any question here? Do we have any question?
Do we see everybody? Everybody turn on their cameras?
Okay,
Please.
so if there is no question, thank you for your time. Thank you for your
I want to get a picture
for
of
sharing
everybody.
with us, and I wanted to share with you our future trainings what we have. So right now we have, next week we have one, but it's already booked, but it is on coaching. That is for it's gonna be for English supervisor from the Ministry of Education, but we're gonna do an open training for everybody. So please pay attention. So June the 2nd, we have a training that is on how to use textbooks as a resource in the classroom. Then we have June the 5th, we have a live Instagram with Olga Gualteros from Colombia that will help us how to practice some exercises that will help us keep healthy emotionally and physically in this kind of situation while we're teaching or working or learning in this kind of learning, virtual learning. And then we have June 9th, we have another webinar with Eduardo Cáceres, the psychologist. And June 16th, we have a webinar with Kid Falls on grammar. And please follow us on Instagram. We're gonna be posting all the webinars that we have for you. Remember that what you learn here, please share with somebody. This is being recorded. We're gonna be sharing with you. If you would like to have the file or the recording, we're very happy to share that with you. If there is no question, thank you, Allegra, again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing with us. So 2 minutes for you to close.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody. I just want to say, for those of you that are starting your teaching careers, I applaud you, meaning kudos to you. So because it's really, to start teaching in the time of Corona, or even to start thinking about going into education right now, must be a big challenge. I'm really happy. I wish that this workshop could have been face-to-face. I would have easily come back to Panama. I haven't been there in quite a long time. Loved your country. I hope that, if you have any questions, my email, Joel will pass on my email. You can always email me with specific questions if you have any. I hope you learned something, and I hope you actually try this out. If you try it out, please let me know how it goes, because really it's a wonderful technique. You can do it online. It doesn't have to be face-to-face. So I hope you learned something from this, and I hope you can take it back to your communities, to your classrooms, to your administrators. I hope it works.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and be safe. And see you next opportunity. See you. Bye bye. Have fun.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye
You're
bye.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. See you.
I love the
Thank you.
seminar.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye. See you. Thank you so much for joining
Bye.
us and participating. See you in the next webinar.
See you.
Bye bye. See you.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. See you.
Bye.
Bye. So Joe, we should talk.
Yes.
Let's talk next week.
Okay, let's wait one. We here.
Yes. The global transformative training is to learn about the theater, reading theater.
Reader's Theater. You liked it.
The corona time, because there are some unscrupulous people who are not taking time, who are not taking seriously, taking a job, for example, leaking toilets, influencers, Eva Luis, leaking toilets, which is gross, and one of these brown man has done the same and got positive for coronavirus and in intensive care unit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we need to all take this. We need to take it seriously. This is not going to go away. So you can do Reader's Theater in the time of Corona. So your mic is on. Joel, you're
Okay.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Yes.
And
so
listen for all.